Have you ever wondered why, no matter how hard you diet or exercise, your belly fat seems to grow instead of shrink? You try cutting calories, you spend more time at the gym. Maybe you even switch to so-called healthy snacks, but the mirror keeps showing you the same stubborn belly. It's frustrating, it's discouraging, and it makes you think maybe something is wrong with you. But the truth is, it's not your fault. Your body isn't broken. It's simply responding to signals you might not even know you're sending it. The reason most people struggle with belly fat isn't because they're lazy or undisciplined. It's because the advice they've been following was never designed to solve the real issue. What you've been told about weight loss is often incomplete or flat out wrong. Counting calories, eating less, and exercising more sounds logical, but your body is not a calculator. It's a chemistry lab. Hormones, stress, sleep, and even the types of food you eat all play a bigger role in belly fat than the raw number of calories on your plate. And here's the part no one tells you. Belly fat is actually a protective mechanism. It's your body's way of shielding you from what it perceives as constant threats, whether that's high insulin levels from frequent eating, cortisol from stress, or inflammation from the wrong foods. Once you understand these hidden triggers, everything changes. Suddenly, losing belly fat stops being a constant uphill battle and becomes a natural result of working with your body instead of against it. Most people think belly fat comes down to one simple equation: eat fewer calories, burn more calories, and you'll shrink your waistline. But if that were true, millions of people who are diligently dieting and exercising wouldn't be struggling with stubborn belly fat. The real problem is not the calories you're consuming, but the hormones that are being triggered every time you eat. And at the center of this issue is one hormone that most people overlook: insulin. Insulin is often called the fat storage hormone, and for good reason. When you eat, especially foods high in sugar or refined carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises in response. Your body releases insulin to move that sugar out of the blood and into your cells. That's a natural and necessary process. But here's where the issue starts. When insulin levels are elevated, your body gets the signal that it's in storage mode, not fat burning mode. Think of your fat stores as being locked behind a door. As long as insulin is high, that door stays shut, and no matter how much you exercise or how few calories you eat, you can't access the fat for energy. This is why frequent eating, something we've been told is healthy, can actually backfire. Every time you snack, even if it's a protein bar, a handful of pretzels, or a so-called low-fat yogurt, insulin rises again. Most people never give their body a break from this cycle. They wake up and eat breakfast, have a snack mid-morning, lunch in the afternoon, another snack, dinner, and sometimes something sweet before bed. That's 6 or 7 insulin spikes in a single day. Over weeks, months, and years, insulin stays elevated so often that the fat-burning switch is almost never turned on. You might think you're making good choices by grabbing a granola bar instead of a cookie or sipping on orange juice instead of soda. But to your body, both are still sugar bombs that trigger an insulin response. Even foods that appear healthy, like whole grain bread or low-fat cereals, are rapidly broken down into glucose, which leads to the same hormonal chain reaction. So while you're working hard to cut calories, your body is storing away fat because the hormonal signal it's receiving is storage, not release. Here's the twist that makes it even more frustrating. When insulin is high, your body doesn't just store fat, it also blocks the release of fat. It's like having a refrigerator full of food, but the door is locked shut. You feel hungry and tired because your body can't access its own stored energy. So you crave more carbs and sugar to get a quick hit of fuel. That quick hit spikes insulin again, and the cycle repeats. This is why so many people feel trapped in a loop of cravings, hunger, and stubborn belly fat. Think about the last time you tried to cut back on calories but still felt ravenous and drained. That wasn't a lack of willpower. It was your body stuck in this hormonal trap. The key isn't to starve yourself or spend hours on the treadmill. The key is to lower insulin by giving your body more time without constant eating. When insulin finally drops, that locked door starts to crack open, and your body can switch from storing fat to burning it. This is where real progress begins, and it's the missing piece most diets never address. You could be eating the cleanest diet, exercising regularly, and doing all the things you believe should help you lose belly fat, yet the scale doesn't move and your waistline doesn't shrink. In fact, sometimes it feels like the more effort you put in, the more stubborn that belly fat becomes. This isn't just about food or exercise, it's about stress and how your body responds to it. At the center of this problem is a hormone called cortisol, also known as the stress hormone. When you're under constant stress, whether it's deadlines at work, arguments at home, financial worries, or even pushing yourself too hard at the gym, your body perceives it all as a threat. It doesn't distinguish between a lion chasing you and an overflowing email inbox. The response is the same. Cortisol rises to help you survive. In short bursts, cortisol is useful. It raises blood sugar, provides quick energy, and sharpens focus. But when stress is ongoing and cortisol remains elevated, the body shifts into survival mode, and one of the main survival strategies is storing fat around your midsection. From your body's perspective, belly fat is protective. It's a quick access fuel source stored close to vital organs in case food becomes scarce. Thousands of years ago, this response was life-saving during times of famine. But today, when stress comes from traffic bills or emotional pressures, that same mechanism works against us. The calories you eat, no matter how clean, are more likely to be stored around the belly because cortisol is signaling your body to prepare for an emergency. This explains why so many people feel frustrated when they're doing everything right, yet continue to gain belly fat. You might be eating salads, drinking water, and staying away from junk food, but if you're constantly wired, anxious, or overtraining, your body still interprets the situation as a threat. Cortisol pushes blood sugar higher, insulin rises to manage it, and the fat storing cycle is set in motion. The belly fat becomes both a result of and a response to stress. Imagine someone who spends all day under pressure at work, grabs a quick healthy meal, then tries to undo the stress by hitting the gym for an intense workout. On paper, they're making good choices, but internally, their body is running on stress hormones. The workout adds another layer of stress, cortisol rises again, and instead of burning fat, the body hangs onto it. Over time, this cycle creates a paradox. The more stressed you are about losing weight, the harder it becomes to lose it. This is why belly fat isn't simply about what you eat or how much you move, but how your body perceives its environment. If the message it keeps receiving is stress, the survival response will always be storage, not release. Short term, this fat may feel protective, but long term, it drives inflammation, disrupts hormones, and increases the risk of serious conditions like diabetes and heart disease. The very thing your body uses to protect you under stress ends up becoming one of the biggest threats to your health. The reality is that managing stress is just as important as managing food or exercise when it comes to belly fat. Until cortisol levels are addressed, the body will continue treating every situation as an emergency, storing more energy around the belly just in case. This is why stress management practices like better sleep, breathing exercises, or simply slowing down can sometimes do more for belly fat than another hour at the gym. It's not about doing more, it's about teaching your body it is safe enough to finally let go. You might think of sleep as just rest, something separate from weight loss, but the truth is your sleep has as much power over your belly fat as the food you eat or the exercise you do. When you cut corners on sleep, it's not only your energy that suffers, it's your entire hormonal balance. Two key hormones, ghrelin and leptin, are directly tied to how much you eat and how satisfied you feel. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. It tells you when it's time to eat. Leptin is the satiety hormone. It signals that you've had enough. When you don't sleep well, ghrelin increases, making you feel hungrier, while leptin decreases, making it harder to feel full. This sets you up for cravings, overeating, and late-night snacking even if you're determined to stick to a healthy plan. Think about how you feel after a night of tossing and turning. The next day, willpower is weaker, and suddenly foods you normally resist look irresistible. That's not a lack of discipline, it's biology. Your hormones are pulling you toward more calories, usually in the form of quick sugars and refined carbs, because your body is desperate for an energy boost. On top of that, just one night of poor sleep has been shown to increase insulin resistance the very next day. That means your body has a harder time managing blood sugar, so the food you eat is more likely to be stored as fat, especially around the belly. It's like trying to run an iPhone on 5% battery. The apps lag, the screen dims, and nothing works as it should. Your body does the same thing when sleep-deprived. Metabolism slows, fat burning shuts down, and energy regulation becomes chaotic. You might try to push through with coffee or energy drinks, but those only mask the symptoms and keep the cycle going. What makes this even more frustrating is that many people focus all their energy on dieting and exercising harder without realizing their poor sleep is undoing much of that effort. You can eat the perfect meal and hit the gym consistently, but if you're only getting 4 or 5 hours of quality sleep, your hormones will keep working against you. This is why some people say they feel stuck no matter how clean their diet is, because sleep is the missing piece of the puzzle. Improving your sleep can be just as powerful as any nutrition or exercise strategy. When you consistently get 7 to 9 hours of restful sleep, ghrelin levels drop, leptin levels rise, and cravings become easier to manage. Insulin sensitivity improves, so your body can use food for energy instead of storing it as belly fat. Your metabolism starts to function like it's supposed to, and energy stabilizes throughout the day instead of spiking and crashing. It doesn't take months to see the difference either. People often notice changes within days of prioritizing sleep, better mood, more control over food choices, and a metabolism that feels like it's working with you instead of against you. This is why fixing your sleep is not just about feeling rested, it's about giving your body the chance to finally burn fat the way it was designed to. For decades, the most common advice for losing weight has been simple: eat less and move more. On the surface, it makes sense. If you burn more calories than you consume, the weight should come off. But the human body isn't a calculator, it's a living, breathing chemistry lab, and this approach often backfires. Cutting calories while pushing yourself to exercise harder can actually make your body cling to fat, especially around the belly, instead of letting it go. Picture someone determined to lose weight. They slash their calorie intake, maybe down to 200 calories a day, and they commit to running on the treadmill for an hour every evening. At first, the scale might move, and they feel encouraged. But within a few weeks, energy drops, hunger intensifies, and progress stalls. They feel frustrated, so they cut calories further and exercise even harder. What they don't realize is that their body is interpreting these changes as a threat. When calories are restricted for too long, the body lowers its metabolic rate to conserve energy. In other words, it learns to survive on fewer calories. Hunger hormones like ghrelin increase, making you crave more food, while leptin decreases, leaving you less satisfied after meals. At the same time, cortisol often rises because the body sees restriction and overtraining as stress. The result is a powerful signal to hold on to belly fat, the exact opposite of what you're working for. From your body's perspective, this is survival mode. Thousands of years ago, when food was scarce, lowering metabolism and storing fat was the only way to make it through a famine. That same mechanism still exists today. So when you're eating less and exercising more, your body isn't celebrating your discipline. It's trying to protect you from what it thinks is starvation. This is why many people end up gaining weight back after dieting, sometimes even more than they lost. The body has been trained to be more efficient at storing fat. The math equation of calories in versus calories out doesn't account for hormones, stress, sleep, or food quality. Two people can eat the same number of calories, but if one is eating processed foods and spiking insulin while the other is eating whole foods that stabilize hormones, the outcomes will be completely different. The body cares less about how many calories are consumed and far more about the hormonal environment created by those calories. It's easy to see how discouraging this can be for someone who feels they're doing everything right. They're eating less, moving more, and still not losing belly fat. They blame themselves for lacking willpower when in reality, their body is following ancient survival programming. The harder they push, the more resistant their body becomes. Instead of being a math problem to solve, weight loss becomes a hormonal puzzle to unlock. Real progress doesn't come from starving yourself or punishing your body with endless cardio. It comes from creating the right hormonal signals that allow the body to feel safe enough to burn fat. That means eating in a way that keeps insulin low, reducing stress so cortisol doesn't dominate, and giving the metabolism a reason to stay strong instead of slowing down. When you shift the focus from deprivation and exhaustion to balance and healing, belly fat finally starts to come off, not because you forced it, but because your body allowed it. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with belly fat has nothing to do with how much they eat, but with what they eat. The modern food environment is filled with processed carbs, seed oils, and artificial ingredients that quietly sabotage the body's ability to burn fat. You might think you're just enjoying a quick snack or saving time with a packaged meal, but inside your body, these foods are creating inflammation and shutting down your fat-burning machinery. At the center of fat burning are your mitochondria, the tiny engines inside your cells. Their job is to take the fuel you eat and convert it into energy. When they're working properly, you feel energetic, your metabolism runs smoothly, and fat burning becomes natural. But when these engines get clogged with the wrong fuel, they can't do their job. Seed oils like canola, soybean, corn, and sunflower are some of the worst offenders. They're unstable, oxidize easily, and when they build up in your cells, it's like pouring sludge into the gas tank of your car. The engine can't run efficiently, and your body shifts towards storing fat instead of burning it. Processed carbs and artificial ingredients make the problem worse. They spike blood sugar and insulin, inflame your gut, and create stress signals throughout the body. Over time, the inflammation damages your cells further, making it even harder for mitochondria to function. Belly fat isn't just an aesthetic issue in this case, it becomes a symptom of toxic food choices. Your body is holding on to fat because the machinery needed to burn it is broken down by the very foods that are marketed as convenient, healthy, or harmless. What's frustrating is that many of these foods are disguised as health products. Low-fat yogurts loaded with sugar, protein bars filled with seed oils, or margarine labeled as heart-healthy all play a role in keeping the fat-burning switch turned off. You could be eating fewer calories, exercising consistently, and still gaining belly fat if your daily fuel is coming from these damaged sources. The body simply can't unlock stored fat when it's overwhelmed by inflammation and clogged engines. The good news is that small swaps can make a massive difference. Replacing seed oils with healthier fats like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil allows your mitochondria to run more efficiently. Using grass-fed butter instead of margarine gives your body stable, nourishing fuel instead of inflammatory chemicals. Choosing whole, unprocessed foods like fresh vegetables, grass-fed meat, wild-caught fish, nuts, and seeds over packaged convenience items removes the burden of artificial ingredients. Every time you make one of these swaps, you're sending your body the signal to heal, reduce inflammation, and switch back into fat-burning mode. It's not about being perfect or never enjoying a treat. It's about stacking the odds in your favor by giving your body fuel it can actually use. When the tiny engines inside your cells start running clean again, fat burning doesn't have to be forced, it becomes automatic, and that stubborn belly fat which once felt impossible to lose finally starts to release because the underlying problem has been removed. The real breakthrough in losing stubborn belly fat doesn't come from another restrictive diet or another exhausting workout routine. It comes from giving your body the chance to reset the way it was designed to. Intermittent fasting is one of the most powerful tools for this because it addresses the core problem hormones, not just calories. When you go through periods without eating, insulin finally has a chance to drop, and with it, the locked door that keeps fat trapped in your body begins to open. At the same time, fasting reduces inflammation, balances other hormones like cortisol, and allows your mitochondria, the tiny engines in your cells, to repair themselves so they can burn energy efficiently again. The biggest misconception is that fasting is the same as starvation, but the truth is very different. Starvation is forced, dangerous, and uncontrolled. Fasting is intentional, safe, and part of human history. For thousands of years, our ancestors didn't have food available around the clock, and the body became incredibly efficient at switching between fed and fasted states. In today's world, where constant eating has become the norm, fasting acts as a reset button, giving your body the break it desperately needs. The first few days are about adjustment. From day 1 to day 3, hunger hormones may rise and your body may resist change because it's used to constant feeding, but as insulin starts to drop, energy gradually stabilizes. By day 7, something remarkable happens. The roller coaster of blood sugar begins to smooth out, cravings lose their grip, and instead of chasing snacks all day, you feel lighter and more focused. Your body is shifting gears, moving away from sugar dependency and toward burning fat for fuel. By day 14, the difference becomes even more visible. The stubborn belly fat that once felt glued to your midsection starts to soften as your body taps into those reserves for energy. Sleep improves, digestion feels smoother, and inflammation calms down. It's not just about losing fat, it's about your body running the way it was designed to. Efficient, steady, and resilient, fasting is not punishment. It's a gift you give your body, an opportunity to clean house and operate at its best. When you combine this with simple lifestyle changes, better sleep, stress management, and replacing processed foods with nourishing, whole ingredients, you create the perfect environment for healing. Your body doesn't need to be fixed, it isn't broken. It's waiting for you to create the right conditions so it can do what it already knows how to do: burn fat, restore balance, and bring you back to health.